We live in a time that congratulates itself for compassion while practicing suspicion. A time that speaks endlessly of safety while quietly eroding trust. And now, with the calm certainty of bureaucratic virtue, it turns to the gaze on boys, not as students to be shaped, but as risks to be detached. We say we are training teachers to spot early signs of misogyny, as though masculinity were a talent disease, as though maleness itself were a precondition for moral failure. And we do this without irony, without hesitation, convinced of our own righteousness. But notice the asymmetry. Always notice the asymmetry. Boys are screened for future harm. Girls are shielded from scrutiny altogether. Boys are imagined as unfinished threats. Girls as unfinished victims. One is monitored for what he might be or might do. The other is excused for what she might do. This is not equality. This is moral sorting. This is ideology masquerading as care. What we are really witnessing is not concern for women, nor even concern for children. It is a civilization that no longer understands men, yet still depends on them. A civilization that requires male strength, risk, tolerance, sacrifice, and endurance, but feels increasingly uncomfortable justifying why such traits should exist at all. And when a society loses the courage to articulate the purpose of masculinity, it does not refine it, it suppresses it, it pathologizes it. It teaches boys not how to be good, but how not to be dangerous. So teachers are not asked to cultivate virtue. They are asked to surveil temperament, not to ask how do we turn this boy into a disciplined, competent, responsible man, but how do we neutralize what he might become if left alone. This is not education. This is preemptive moral containment. And what it is never mentioned, never named, is narcissism, relational aggression, emotional manipulation, reputational sabotage. Behaviours well documented, psychologically real, and socially destructive. Why are they absent from screening rituals? Because they do not threaten the prevailing moral narrative. They often serve it. They speak the language of vulnerability. They perform victimhood convincingly. Institutions do not diagnose behaviours that mirror their own operating logic. A society always screens for what it fears, not for what it's not for what. And so we feminize the moral landscape, not in the sense of women, but in the sense of temperament. We elevate sensitivity over resilience, expression over restraint, safety over growth. Aggression is no longer something to civilize. It is something to erase. Assertiveness is no longer something to discipline. It is something to apologize for. But aggression does not disappear when denied. It mitigates, it mutates, it re-emerges as resentment, nihilism, or rebellion, often far from the institutions that congratulated themselves for suppressing it. Boys understand this instinctively. They hear the message beneath the policy language. They do not hear, we believe in your capacity for virtue. They hear, you are a suspect until proven safe. And so they learn silence instead of reflection, withdrawal instead of responsibility, resentment instead of loyalty. And years later, when they disengage from school, from work, from family, from society, we act surprised, as though we did not teach them carefully and early that they were not trusted. This is not an attack on men because men are powerful. It's an attack on men because society has lost its sense of what men are for. When a culture loses its telos, its purpose, it stops cultivating character and starts regulating behaviour. It replaces virtue with compliance, and compliance is brittle. It does not hold under stress. History is unkind to societies that mistake control for morality. The Stoics understood this. Aurelius warned that a state obsessed with managing impulses rather than forming character eventually produces neither virtue nor order, only fragility, only quiet decay. So where does this lead? Either to docile disengagement, men who opt out, contribute less, care less, or to rebellious backlash, men who seek meaning outside institutions that never believed in them in the first place. Neither path produces stability. neither produces strong families, neither produces the kind of men that society claims it wants. The real danger is never that boys might become misogynists. The real danger is that we're teaching them from their earliest years that society has no faith in their capacity to become good men at all. And a civilization that loses faith in its sons is already in decline. It just hasn't admitted it yet.